Imagine if you went from feeling fine every day to feeling amazing. How would your life be different? Everyone has the ability to feel amazing again and again. You just need the right tools to get there. If you're ready to feel amazing, stick around. Now, here's the host of the I'm Not Fine show with functional nutrition coach Lizzie Ens.
Welcome back to another episode on the I'm Not Fine show. We are here today and we're going to be talking about detoxing. This is such a big phenomenon in the health and wellness industry and something that so many people can get carried away on, but also doing it wrong and in the wrong order, maybe even doing the wrong detox. And it can be very, very dangerous. And when I was thinking about truthfully, I was thinking about what does my audience need to hear? What do you guys need right now at this moment? And a thing that kept coming up over and over and over was detoxing. I get a lot of questions on what kind of detox should I do? What's the correct order of doing it? Or on top of that, a lot of people are looking to hop on to pretty much any type of detox because maybe you read something that you need to detox X amount of times per year. Maybe someone's selling a detox and they're promoting it in a way that just makes you believe that you absolutely need that detox. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to sort of analyze this whole thing and really educate you on what detoxing really is, why you may need to be doing it at some point, but also how it can be dangerous to your health when it's done wrong. Either the detox is done in a wrong way or you're doing the wrong type of detox because there's so many different things and ways that we can detox or need to detox from, for example. So if you're needing to detox from parasites, that's going to look a little bit different than if you need to detox from candida, which is a high yeast level. And then also knowing whether or not those are the things that you need to detox. If you listen to someone that is promoting a parasite cleanse, they're going to be telling you that every single person needs to go on a parasite cleanse. And if you listen to someone that is promoting a heavy metal detox, they're going to tell you that every single person needs to go on a heavy metal detox. And those are dangerous claims to make because if you don't really truly know what the person's immune system is doing, what your hormones are doing, and what that foundation looks like, and on top of that, what you actually need to detox from, that can be dangerous. So we're going to dive into that. But before I even go into that, I want to invite you guys in. If you're listening to this and you are in this place where you feel like, hey, I'm stuck. Like, I don't know anymore what to do. I had this really interesting conversation with someone the other day, and she messaged me and she says, I think I need to work with you, Lizzie, instead of going to my general doctor because she could go there and try to get some lab work done. But a really, really like big gap that I'm seeing that is happening, and I've seen this for several years now, but this is the gap where people get stuck, is going to the doctor and getting labs done, maybe minimal labs done, and then being told, hey, either everything's fine or a little bit of things are off, or you get diagnosed with something and they're going to give you some medication for it and you're on your own and off you go. Or they may say, hey, you need to lose weight because you're overweight, and that's their answer, but there's no help there. So that's the medical side of things. And then the other side of things is, don't get me wrong, I love naturopath, I love functional medicine doctors, but the other piece that I see that is very, very much missing in the wellness industry is that you can go to naturopath and functional medicine doctors and spent tons and tons of money getting tests done, probably being put on tons and tons of supplements, told you have to detox and all that stuff. All like, okay. But where people really, really get stuck is knowing what to do beyond that, because it's so much more than just taking the supplements and knowing what is wrong and what you need to be doing. And that is what I do differently. And that is what other people in my industry that have an online telehealth coaching business, where we want to work with you for a minimum time. For me, I want to work with people for a minimum of 12 weeks. Why? Because we need to figure out what else is going on. And there's a time and a place where you need a little bit more hand holding, where we look at your nutrition, we look at your exercise, we look at your sleep patterns, your water, your daily habits. Because truthfully, at the end of the day, if you cannot get those things down, it doesn't matter how many supplements you pump into your body and how many diets you go on and detoxes you go on, if you cannot get that foundation down, which is always going to go back to what is your nutrition like? What does your diet look like? Your sleep look like? Your water and your movement. That it doesn't matter where you are at in life. Those are going to be your foundational pieces. And that is why I do what I do, is because I'm going to be able to hold your hand for a bit and guide you and educate you. It's my job to educate you, to then get you to a place where I don't need you, or you don't need me anymore. I don't want you to work with me forever. I want you to get to a place where you're like, wow, I feel educated and equipped to now do this on my own. That is my job, and that is where I want you to get to. And so that's why my program is a minimum of 12 weeks, because I want to help you with that. So I stand in that gap. Why do I share that with you? Because I see this every single day where people get stuck. It's in the not knowing, and you're in information paralysis. What do I mean by information paralysis? Social media, Google, every person has a different, opinion on what you should be doing. There's obviously crossovers, but once you consume that much information, now all of a sudden you're like, well, I don't even know what's right, because this person says oats is bad, and this person says you should only do oats. This person says meat is bad, and this person says no, you actually need meat. What is actually true? And the reality is it's important to understand and know what is true for you, because what is true for me may not be true for you. So that's the piece that we get to figure out, because it's so much more than just a one size fits all. If this is you and you are in information paralysis and you're stuck, I want to invite you in and ask you to book a consultation with me, and let's dive in to see what is going on, because this leads me into my show today, talking about detoxing. Most of my clients at some point in time will learn that they have to go through some kind of a detox, but we don't do that right away. We're not detox happy. Your body will actually start detoxing on its own without taking a detox supplement if you start feeding it really good, healthy foods. So fruits and vegetables and lean meats and healthy whole foods will actually help your body start to detox on its own. Now, there are people that will argue and they'll say, like, you don't ever have to take a detox supplement or have any kind of additional help with herbs and supplementation, because the body and the liver does its job. Like, that's the liver's job. And the liver doesn't need any help. The liver is actually one of the most amazing organs in our body. It has 3 different phases of detoxification. So it has phase 1, phase 2 for detoxification pathways, and then phase 3 is methylation. The methylation is like that last phase of it. I actually have an entire episode on the liver, and I teach this in my 8-week gut course as well, is what the liver actually does and then how you can support the liver through food. There's so much you can do to support the liver through food. But if this was the case and you never needed to take anything to help your liver heal and to help your liver detox better, then we wouldn't have any fatty liver issues. We wouldn't have alcohol liver issues, or you can get fatty liver disease from just eating lots and lots of sugar without having alcohol. You also need to remember the liver is where anger sits. So if you don't ever release your anger and you like hold everything in, and you're an angry person and you never let that stuff go or release your anger, you can actually raise your liver enzymes because of that. So emotions hang out in our organs and in our body. Always remember that. And in the liver, it's anger. In the kidneys, it's fear. So if you have kidney issues, that's where fear hangs out. So with that being said, when it comes to the liver and detoxification, there are many things that we can do in order to help the liver detox better. But before we go into grabbing the next like top selling thing to detox the liver, we actually need to find out whether or not the liver needs support. And that is done through testing. I have a very dear friend of mine and peer of mine that I partnered with last year. Her name's Melissa. I had her on my show a few weeks ago, and her and I work together. So anybody that comes in and works with me, we do some additional testing to see where are your levels at and what do you need to detox from. I'm going to go into that a little bit more later. But the reason that I do that for all of my clients is because it allows me to just get a little bit more information and look at where are you deficient? What do we need to bring up to the levels that they need to be at? When I'm talking about deficiency, I'm talking about your vitamins and minerals. Because if you're deficient and extremely deficient in certain vitamins and minerals, your immune system's not subpower and able to support you in your detoxification phase. You're gonna make, if you just jump into a detox, you're gonna make your body more sick instead of helping it. And that is the danger of detoxing, is if you just go grab a bunch of detoxes, and a lot of people will get really sick, and we're going to get into that more a little bit later. But it's very important to understand that it's dangerous to just grab a detox and say, I need this and I need to go through this detox without knowing what you actually need to detox from. Now, sometimes there are things like symptoms that our body will tell us, like, hey, like this is going on, and we're going to get into symptoms and how to read certain things to know whether or not you may need to detox. But again, there can be crossovers. So just remember that, like certain symptoms can certainly cross over, and all of a sudden you may start detoxing on things that you don't actually necessarily need to detox from. So that's why it's important to test, to know. It's really not that difficult to do these types of testings, because it just gives you a little bit more information. And when I do these tests with Melissa, who does the tests for me, it's very inexpensive, but we get a lot of data and a lot of information, and it just helps us look at what are the first steps that we need to focus on, and then build on from there. So we're going to go to our first break here, but when we come back, I'm going to dive into symptoms. things that your body is telling you. What are you paying attention to? What has changed? What are you listening to that your body's actually saying? And then what the next steps are from there and what you can do from there. So don't go anywhere. I'm Lizzie Ens, your host on the I'm Not Fine show on the Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back after the break.
We often get used to just feeling fine instead of reaching to feel excellent or even good. Wellness is about feeling good, and that is a journey of continually coming back to what is nourishing and healing for us. Your body is functional and ever-changing, like a pendulum swinging. We must learn how to move with our bodies. Tuning into I'm Not Fine with functional nutrition coach Lizzie Ens will provide you with simple but effective tools that you can use right away, so you can go from feeling just fine to feeling amazing. Listen for I'm Not Fine on Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Central Time, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, and 12 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is I'm Not Fine with Lizzie Ens. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to Lizzie at undietyourself.live. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back. We are back, and we're going to be talking about symptoms of what your body is telling you when you think that you might need to detox, and what are things that you need to look out for. So let's dive in. There are so many symptoms that your body will, and signals that your body will share with you, like it's talking to you. So when you're tired, it doesn't automatically mean that you need to detox when you're tired, but exhaustion can be a big piece of it. But I'm going to emphasize this again and again and again. Remember, there's always crossovers in symptoms. But if you have a hard time losing weight, that can be a sign of inflammation. And I'm going to talk about very specific things here that can be underlying reasons of why your hormones are off balance, your thyroid is off balance, the inability to lose weight, all of those things. And the reason that I do the testing that I do that I mentioned earlier is because when it comes to detoxification, when our body and our lymphatic system is really, really sluggish, it's very hard for the body to detox in the way that it should. And there are several things that can be the problem with this, that can be causing this. And some things that I like to take a look at is your parasite levels, like how high are your parasite levels, your candida levels, which is an overgrowth of yeast, your heavy metals, like do you have a lot of heavy metals in your system, high fluoride, high chlorine, viruses. So there's all different kinds of viruses that your body can be holding on to. But then you got to figure out, like, what are those viruses? An example is you could have an underlying virus going on that has to do with E. coli. There's many different types of ones that can lead into autoimmune. And if you don't know what the things are, it's very hard to know the type of detox that you should be doing. So let's say, for example, you do a test and you have high parasite levels. Those high parasites can be the reason for a lot of your symptoms. So now we're talking about getting to the root of what is actually going on. So I have literally had clients that had irregular periods, painful periods, inability to lose weight, skin issues, raspy throat issues, anxiety, depression, like you name it, it was there. And it wasn't until we would take them, like they would see results. And I'm going to talk about these different types of steps that we need to go through, but they would see results. But in energy, I'll tell you a story about this client. There's one client that just keeps coming up in my mind. She worked with me for a while, and we saw amazing results. Like she would come back to me and be like, I cannot believe I'm feeling this good. I've never slept this good in 15 years. And my energy is amazing. The only thing that wasn't really changing is like her weight wasn't going down, even though she was eating really, really well. And she was exercising and she was on some supplementation and stuff. All of the other things that she wanted to see were phenomenal. But for some reason, her body was like not wanting to drop the weight. And her periods weren't regulating either. And so we took it a step further. So we did the foundational things first, which is looking at nutrition and then her vitamins and minerals for the things that her body was really deficient in, which is why she was able to sleep better and then have more energy. And she noticed a decrease in inflammation as well. But it wasn't until we went through that phase and then went into a detoxification phase. So she had to go on a very specific diet to help her body support getting rid of the yeast overgrowth because her candida levels were way too high. So sometimes you do have to go through a diet phase, not in terms of like, hey, I'm dieting because I'm doing this to lose weight, but I'm actually having to be on this specific diet right now so my body can heal. That's what diets are meant for. If you have to go on one, it's meant for a short period of time to help your body heal. It's not a forever thing. What do I mean by that? I mean, if you're going on a candida diet because your candida levels are too high, what I mean by that is there are certain even healthy foods from fruits and vegetables that will feed the yeast. And yeast in your body feeds off of sugar. It will even feed off of the sweet potatoes, the white potatoes, the rice, the things that normally you would eat and you'd be like, this is really healthy, or the bananas or the apples, the things that are higher, natural things that are a little higher in sugar. Those foods will still feed the candida. And I know this because I experienced this myself. Like a few years ago, I had really, really high candida levels and I had to go on a 4-month protocol, but that I was able to take through myself. But during this process, I had to really restrict from even healthy foods that I was eating so that the yeast levels could go down and die off. And there's specific supplementation to take during this process so that the alpacans die down. And then you have to have a plan in place to help the gut lining heal and restore. And then you can go into that maintenance phase. And eventually you can add those things back in. And so what happened with her is she went through this candida plan to help her body heal. And I'm not kidding you guys, like within a week or two of her being on this plan and us, really honing in on that, she got rid of like inflammation that had been like stuck in her throat for years. Like the swelling went down in her throat and the itchiness and the achiness and all of that stuff that was like showing up in her throat, like that went away. And I had another person that like dry scalpy issues on the head and the hair, like those were going away. And then with this client specifically, her period started to regulate. And here she thought that she was going through menopause. And she wasn't, because she was way too young to be going through menopause. So those are symptoms and things that you need to pay attention to is, do you have autoimmune issues going on? Do you have hormone imbalances going on? Are your periods irregular? Are your periods like really, really painful? Do you become a different person when you're on your period? I've literally had clients tell me that. They're like, nobody should be around me when I have my period, because they're like, I'm like evil. And I'm like, well, that's a problem, because that means you have massive, massive shifts when you go through your cycle. And so it's really, really important to remember that that shouldn't be normal. It's your body sending you signals and telling you, hey, something is wrong, something is off. So anyway, what happened with her is we got that regulated, and then her body actually eventually started to lose the weight that she was having trouble losing, because she detoxed in a healthy manner. She detoxed specifically to what her body needed. That is very, very, very important. Because if you go on a detox without knowing what you need to detox from, all of a sudden, you may just be causing more damage than good. And I don't want to share this in a way of scaring you, but I do want to share it in a way of, hey, it's important to know the details. It's important to know what you actually need and then put a plan in place. And let's not forget, we can spend a lot of money on supplements and detoxes and not even have the right things in front of us. A lot of money. So I call it like shooting darts at the wall. So if you're like, this person said I need B vitamins. This person said I needed fish oil. This person said I need some fancy gut supplement. This person said I need it. And all of a sudden you find your cabinet full of all kinds of things. I actually just did this with a client of mine that had like literally a cabinet full of supplements, and she's like, I have all these supplements, but I don't even know if I need them. And I just bought them because I thought I might need them. And I was like, you're not getting on any supplements until we look at your lab results and what your body is actually needing. And so what we were able to do is look at what her body was needing and then utilize some of the supplements that she already had based on that, and then not overkill it. Because here's the thing that we can do with detoxes and supplementation is that we can overdo it as well. So some supplements are not meant to be taken long term. Some are only meant to help you give you a boost and get your levels to where you need them. And then maybe occasionally. So I'll give you an example. When you take let's just say you're taking a fish oil. Maybe you don't eat fish. You probably need a fish oil if you don't eat fish. Omega-3 fatty acids helps with inflammation, helps with the brain function, helps with gut health. But if you eat fish, so for example, if I eat salmon or any kind of fish, I'm going to go, well, I don't need a fish oil now, not this day, and maybe not tomorrow, because I just had fish and they gave me what I needed. So you have to be smart about that. And let's just say, for example, you take a probiotic. I mean, most people can benefit from a probiotic just because of how our foods are. But if you eat a lot of, fermented foods, gut-friendly foods like yogurts and kefirs and sauerkraut and those types of things, and you're constantly giving your body those types of things, chances are you don't need as much of a probiotic. But if you're not eating any of those kinds of things, or let's say, for example, you're taking an antibiotic, and you're not taking a probiotic, your gut most likely needs that. So knowing what you need to detox from is very, very, very important, which is why the testing has to happen so that we actually know what that is. We're going to go to our next break here, but when we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about what that setup needs to look like and why I approach it in that way, and why you want to think about that when you are thinking about detoxing. And I have another amazing story that I want to share with you guys, because this specific story was not a client of mine, but it blew my mind, because it was someone that actually like reached out to me and shared with me what they did. So I'm going to share that when we come back, and then we're going to go into some of the step-by-step process that you need to be aware of when it comes to preparing for a detox, and then walking through that detox and symptoms and stuff like that. So don't go anywhere. I'm Lizzie Ens, your host on the I'm Not Fine show on the Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back after the break.
We often get used to just feeling fine instead of reaching to feel excellent or even good. Wellness is about feeling good, and that is a journey of continually coming back to what is nourishing and healing for us. Your body is functional and ever-changing, like a pendulum swinging. We must learn how to move with our bodies. Tuning into I'm Not Fine with functional nutrition coach Lizzie Ens will provide you with simple but effective tools that you can use right away, so you can go from feeling just fine to feeling amazing. Listen for I'm Not Fine on Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Central Time, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, and 12 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is I'm Not Fine with Lizzie Ens. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Lizzie at undietyourself.live. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. We are talking about detoxing, and I truly, truly, truly hope that this is super helpful for you guys to just understanding detoxification and why you don't want to just go grab any kind of detox and without knowing like what your body is actually needing. So I want to share a little story here. So I am a big fan of taking your body through detoxing if you know what it needs. And there are certain symptoms that your body will tell you that you need a specific type of detox, but it's also knowing whether or not those symptoms are actually true. So there's a company that I use for parasite cleanses, heavy metals, and I love this company. It's very, very similar to what we used to use, because we used to use parasite cleanses at home. There's a trend going on where people message me all the time and they're like, what kind of parasite cleanses do Amish use? Because I hear that they do a parasite cleanse like twice a year and it's very powerful. And there's a little bit of trend going on with it, and also like an upsell that's happening with the health and wellness industry. This happens a lot, like because the Amish name is so powerful, and so sometimes there are things floating around out there that are just not true. And but when I looked at this specific company and their product, I went, this product is actually really, really phenomenal. But truthfully, there's not really much different about this product and what we used in the Amish community. So It was more or less just like a name that was put in there, which was the Amish name. And, for whatever reason, that's okay. But I talked about this detox on my page one time, and I have an affiliate link, and a lot of people went and bought the parasite kit, and their parasite kit comes with the Candida kit, and it's all in one. And this company is really, really good. Like, it gives you the exact instructions on how to do it. But I help my clients on understanding that too and preparing them for it. So typically my clients won't go on any of those kinds of detoxes until we're 30 days in of really giving their body the vitamins and minerals that it needs. And I'm going to jump into that in just a minute here. But this lady reached out to me after I had talked about this company, and she said that she had a 7-year-old that wasn't verbal, like all his life. Like, he had not hadn't even said mommy or anything like that. He wasn't able to verbalize any of his words. And so she had tried all kinds of things. And so what she did is I talked about the parasite cleanse at one point, not even knowing that she was going to go buy it, because I didn't know this person. She reached out to me a couple weeks after she had gotten this detox, and she had took that kit and took her 7-year-old son through the detox, because she just felt like in her spirit, like this is what she needed to do. And she said within 7 days of her son being on the detox, he started to be able to talk. And for the first time in his life, he said, mommy. Like, he was able to verbalize. And I was floored. It blew my mind. I mean, she was crying because she was like, my son can actually talk. And there were just things in his body that neurologically were causing inflammation. And it was preventing him from being able to talk. And I think that it's really, really, really important that we, especially when it comes to kids, like, we have to be aware of these types of things. So a lot of kids that may have ADD, ADHD, or nonverbal, or even like on the spectrum, like, sometimes they actually need more additional help with these types of things, because remember, there are a lot of things that can cause inflammation. And inflammation, if there's like ADD and ADHD and that stuff, that kind of stuff that is happening, remember that can be inflammation on the brain, and it can be inflammation on the gut. Like, listen to this guy, Dr. Amen, and he has the Amen clinics, and he talks about this all the time, that those types of things, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not prevalent and that is irrelevant or anything like that, but there are things that we can do to help, and so decreasing that inflammation on the brain. But if you are high in heavy metals, if you are high in fluoride, in parasites, in candidas, all of those things can be a root cause issue of these other things that are going on. And this mom took her kiddo through a detox, and all of a sudden he's able to verbalize because his body got rid of whatever was preventing him to be able to say his words and verbalize. And it could have been just inflammation. But remember, parasites, like, they like to hide behind things. So a lot of people with hypothyroidism or autoimmune, the chances that they have high parasites or heavy metals and stuff like that going on are very high. So if you've never looked at any of that in terms of detoxification and what you actually need to detox from, very, very important to look into that, because unless you get rid of things that you're really high in, it's like this vicious cycle that you're on. It's like this lady that I was telling you, she felt great, she was sleeping better, and some of her inflammation was down, but it wasn't until she actually went through the detox of the candidas that her body actually started to respond in weight loss and in decrease in the inflammation, because we figured out that that's what she needed. And that's why it's important to test. Now, the next thing that I want to share with you is the reason that I like to go at least 30 days of looking at your diet and adjusting what you're bringing into your body and your vitamins and minerals that you're the most deficient in. You should be at least on those things for at least 30 days before you go into a detox. Why? Because if your foundation is weak, which means your immune system and your gut, and your immune system is what's going to help you fight infections, inflammation, prevent you from getting sick. And a lot of people get sick when they go through a detox. So, and that's not uncommon. And sometimes it is part of the phase, but you want to get that foundation strong or stronger so it can actually support you going through the detox. So when we look at bringing in those vitamins and minerals or foods that will support your immune system and your gut and getting you healthier to begin with, now we're strengthening that foundation. And then we go into the detox. And that's just part of the healing process. And those are steps that you need to consider to be very, very effective in the detoxification. Now, also remember this. Sometimes just by changing what you're eating, your body will naturally start to detox. What do I mean by this? Let's say you're someone that eats fast food every single day. Your body probably has just like a buildup of chemicals and toxins and things that your body just is having a hard time getting rid of, because it's toxic overload, it's liver overload, it's gallbladder overload, like everything is an overload. And if you switch from a fast food type of diet or a highly processed diet, and you switch that to, hey, I'm going to eat my protein from lean meats, I'm going to get fruits and vegetables, I'm going to get complex carbs, and 80 to 90% of your diet is whole foods, guess what's going to happen to your body? You're naturally going to start detoxing, because our foods are very powerful in that. You're going to notice that your palate changes. All of a sudden, a blueberry that tasted really bitter and unsweet starts to taste really sweet because you've changed your palate. Because fast foods and processed foods actually coat your palate. So healthy foods don't taste as good. So if you're used to really high fatty, high sodium processed foods, that palate gets coated. And healthy foods, grilled chicken, you're going to be like, oh, what's that? Like, that doesn't taste good. Whereas someone that is used to eating, fruits and vegetables and proteins and primarily whole foods, that grilled chicken's going to be like, oh, amazing, because their palate is cleaner. And that's what our body wants anyway. So you naturally start to detox. Like, I have had clients that literally started to have detox symptoms just by changing what they were eating and by getting on vitamins and minerals that their body needed. Like, when I have a client that is changing how they're eating, they're bringing in more fruits and vegetables and proteins, and they start on a few vitamins that their body's deficient in, and if they start having major detox symptoms, I'm going, oh boy, this person is in for it. Because if you start detoxing just from those changes, it's even more important that we get that foundation strong before we go into the next phase of detoxification, which is bringing in the specific detox supplements or herbs that your body needs in order to like really, really get rid of the things it needs to get rid of. If you have high parasites, gotta get rid of those parasites. Like, it's very, very important. But jumping into it too quickly can be detrimental to your health. So always, always, always remember that. The body is incredibly smart. Like, it can do so much if we just know what to give it. You wouldn't believe how many people I work with that in the first week of me working with them and just making a few shifts in what they're doing, changing a few things in what they're having on their plate to eat, you wouldn't believe how quickly these clients like start to feel better within that first week. It's amazing. And you can too. Anyway, I gotta go to my last break here. But when we come back, we're gonna continue to close off the show and dive into this just a little bit more. But I want you guys to remember, it's not always as complicated as we think it is, but it is important to know what the right steps are to take. And you can only know what those steps are by working with someone that is a professional in it, expertise in it, or by doing the proper type of testing. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. I'm Lizzie Ens, your host on the I'm Not Fine Show and Inspired Choices Network.
We often get used to just feeling fine instead of reaching to feel excellent or even good. Wellness is about feeling good, and that is a journey of continually coming back to what is nourishing and healing for us. Your body is functional and ever-changing, like a pendulum swinging. We must learn how to move with our bodies. Tuning into I'm Not Fine with functional nutrition coach Lizzie Ens will provide you with simple but effective tools that you can use right away, so you can go from feeling just fine to feeling amazing. Listen for I'm Not Fine on Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Central Time, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, and 12 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is I'm Not Fine with Lizzie Ens. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Lizzie at undietyourself.live. Now, back to the program.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We are going to finish this show out strong with some practical things for you to get started with. First of all, I'm going to invite you in again and just let you know, like, proper testing is really, really important. And if you don't know where to go, come to me. Like, you can either work with me for a minimum of 12 weeks, go through my program where I really dive in, either one-on-one or group coaching. Either one is amazing, and you get a lot from it. And your testing, your lab testing, and your scans and stuff, all of that's included in the program. But if you feel like you don't need the 12 weeks and you just want to know what your hormones are doing, what you want some lab work done, and you want to know like what you need to start working on, you can do that as well. Like, it'd be kind of like, hey, I'm going to go see a doctor and I'm going to get a bunch of labs done. I want to find out what's going on with a treatment plan, and then go on your own and do it yourself. I do that as well for some people that are like very self-motivated and they just need to find answers on what's going on. And then I give them a treatment plan and off they go, and they're very, very successful with it. Most people, not the right fit. But for some people, it is. It's enough. And it's what they need. So you have options. So I just want to invite you in again to, if you are in this place of being stuck, like, don't wait. Like, so many people just wait around so long until it's almost too late, or it's even harder to get the results that you want. Because the longer you wait to get started, the harder it is going to be to start, and the harder it is to get the results and to your goal that you want. Because if you just wait, your body, here's the reality. Your body doesn't wait on you. It simply does not. Like, we can't put a pause on our aging. Well, we kind of can if we take care of our health. The number's going to go up, but we can't put a pause on like what's happening with our body by not caring about what we put in and how we take care of it. Not going to happen. So the longer we avoid taking action to take care of our health, the harder it's going to be. But the other thing that I want you to just remember, I don't know who needs to hear this, but someone needs to hear this, is that if you have a problem and you're like so sick of it, but if the only thing that you're doing right now is complaining about what the problem is and you're not looking for the solution, I just want to let you know, like, that is not going to give you a solution. The solution is you figuring out what is it that you can do and then take action towards that. You got to find the answer to the solution, not the complaining about it. Sometimes we complain and we let things out and it allows us to figure out like what that solution would be. But for me, I see so many times that people get stuck in that complaining victim mentality of what is going on versus figuring out, okay, what is the solution and what can I do? What's that thing like a friend of mine always says, out of desperation comes innovation. If you're not desperate enough, the innovation doesn't happen. So you gotta look at alternatives. If your doctor is not helping you and all you're doing is complaining about it, you gotta look at alternatives. Go a different route because clearly that's not working. So make sure that you take control of your own health in that aspect, because at the end of the day, nobody else can do it for you. Now, you do need professionals that will take a look at what is going on and then help you from there. So if you are stuck and you're like, I don't know what to do, come to me, book that consultation. If I can't help you, or if it's not the right fit for you, I would love to still direct you in the right direction of what may help you. So just to close off this show today, when it comes to detoxification, I want you to just think about this really, really smart before you go out and you buy that next high promised detox that you need, or that they're telling you that you need. I want you to ask yourself these questions. Do I know if I need this? Or am I getting this because someone told me that I need it without any proper testing or truly knowing? This happens a lot in the MLM companies where a person will start taking a supplement or a product and it make them feel good. And then all of a sudden, all their friends and their family have to be on it. But the reality is it could make them sick because they don't actually need it. So you have to be very, very careful with that. So ask yourself that question. Do I know if this is the right thing for me? Have I done the proper testing for it? Or do I just assume that I need it because someone else said that I do? The answers are very, very important. And then I want you to go back to the basics. What does your diet look like? How are you taking care of your sleep, your exercise, your water intake, and your diet? What's on your plate? Are you having fruits and vegetables and proteins and fibers? Because all of those things are very, very important and the first things that you should be focusing on versus the next, $200 detox, whatever they cost now. Save yourself some money and get started with the diet stuff first, like what that looks like, and then move forward from there. Those are the steps that you want to be aware of. All right, you guys, I hope you had a wonderful time listening to this show. If you listen to this show, whatever platform you're on, give us a 5-star rating. Let us know how you like it. And also, feel free to email me with any questions that you have. I'm Lizzie Ens, your host on the I'm Not Fine show. We'll be back next week.
Thank you for listening to the I'm Not Fine show. Lizzie Ens returns Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, and 10 a.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, have the best week of your life by making choices that take you from feeling fine to feeling amazing.